there's something that my friend told me last year. I think it was the summer of last year that kind of just stuck in my mind, and it's just something that I'd really like to share today. I remember her telling me this because I was just going through my own creative struggles, and I don't even think she realized I was, but it just came out of her. And she said, "Oluchi, you cannot forget who you were as a kid. You could not forget who you were as a kid." And that just stuck with me. And I just remember I pondered on it, part of the year. I was just like, what does she mean by that? Don't forget who you were as a kid. And I think it's just something that really properly I'm starting to really understand, and something I started understanding beginning of this year in January. If God gives us life, long life, we're going to spend more time being adults than we are being a child. So the older we get, it's very easy for us to start to forget how we were as children. It's very easy for us to see children and they're just completely different individuals that we have never been before, because we've been adults for, let's say, 50 years, 40 years, 60 years. If God gives us long life, we're just going to keep getting older into our adult years. And childhood is something that is so far-fetched because we are so into the future. So our childhood is only this small part of our lives, but it's so significant, even though it's so small, because we develop a sense of our personality, wonder, curiosity. Really, those fundamentals of who we are developed as children. And I remember the kind of child that I was a really mischievous child. Because I was so curious and I just couldn't sit still, I would get in trouble, because that's just not the way you should be in a structured classroom. I would not be able to sit down. I'd have to stand up because I always wanted to do something. I remember I spent my early childhood in South Africa, and I remember they were building something in our school, and I remember there was this huge hole that was in the middle of the school, because I think they were just I don't remember, I was a kid, but it was a huge hole, and obviously teachers were like, don't jump inside that hole, don't. And me being a kid, I'm like, why? I'm going to jump inside that hole. I'm jumping. Nobody's stopping me. So I remember literally thinking to myself, I'm going to jump inside that hole and nobody's going to stop me. And I remember turning to my friend and I remember saying, I'm going to jump inside that hole. And she was like, oh, Lucci, no. They used to call me Lucci, so they dropped the O for my name. They're like, Lucci, don't do it. Before she could even blink, I'm inside that hole. And before I could blink, I'm in my teacher's room facing the wall. But I had fun though, jumping inside that hole, because it was a fun experience. But anyways, don't go jumping inside holes. That's not the point of this video. But I'm saying that I had such a deep sense of awe and wonder for the world I lived in. And I was really an avid reader growing up. I'm still an avid reader, but I'm trying to write my own books. But I was just an avid reader growing up. I just had this thirst for adventure. And I even told my friend that this week on Thursday. I was like, I've just always been somebody that's had this thirst for adventure. I've always just wanted to go out there into the world and do something and be something and just see stuff. So it's as we get older, it's so easy for those things that are part of you more associate with childlike things, like a sense of wonder, curiosity, mischief. It's more something you associate with children. That just dies down because as we get older, society just frowns. It's frowned upon in society for someone that's over the age of 18 to act like that, obviously. But yeah, I just remember her saying that to me and I was like, what does she mean? Something told me, because it stayed with me, something told me it's important. When something stays with me, it's because it's important what that person said, and I need to figure out why it's important to me, why it's staying with me. So I remember December of last year, before going into 2025, I was like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to start watching the movies I really enjoyed as a kid, like Toy Story 1, Peter Pan. I'm a huge fan of Peter Pan, and that's what kind of evoked my sense of wonder as a kid. Just that whole point of someone knocking on your window and saying, let's go to Neverland. So I was rewatching Peter Pan, just movies that I absolutely adored as a kid. I was just like, I'm just going to start rewatching it. And that's what I was doing. I just went on a Disney marathon. We watched, I believe it's called Treasure Island. Just started rewatch Lost City of Atlantis. From butchering these names, I'm so sorry. But I just started rewatching a lot of Disney movies, Bambi. And I'm currently writing a novel that's going to be published this year. And I didn't even realize, but it started helping with my writing. I didn't realize it last year, but my sense of magic had started to to waver. It has started to become dim. And I think it's because as you get older, you go through adult things. And so my sense of wonder and magic started to waver and dim a little bit. And I think she could sense it, or maybe the people around me could sense it. But I couldn't really sense it, but I knew it deep within me that I wasn't the same person I was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Something had wavered. And yes, I'm more mature now and I'm more of an adult now, but we can't abandon who we were as children. I'm not saying act like a child as an adult, no, but you can't abandon who you were as a child. You can't abandon that sense of that 5, 7-year-old, 10-year-old, whatever age you identified with as a kid, that you still keep it in your heart. And that age for me was 12 years old, because 12 years old, I just felt like I was 12 years old. I read my favorite novel that has been unchanged, and that's Walk Two Moons by Sharon Creech. 12 years old, I also hit puberty. But it's like so much things happen at 12, but it was such a beautiful year for me. So it's like that's something I always look back and like 12 years old is really peak childhood for me. So it's like just keeping that sense of wonder. You know, children, you know, all these famous artists that we see, all these people that are actors, singers, authors that write fiction and all that. You know, I think there's something that is very common between all these creatives, and it's this sense of being an adult but still having that youthful spirit. It's really that youthful spirit that only really a child can have without really trying. So I think what I'm just trying to say is that as you're getting older, as you're becoming wiser, don't shut down the child that you once were. Keep that spirit alive, and I'm figuring out the ways that you can actually keep that spirit alive. Watch a movie that you loved as a kid. Go to the park and switch off your phone and don't listen to music. Don't even have your headphones on. Like I go on walks and I don't listen to music. I don't even bring my phone with me. I don't recommend it for bring your phone with you, but keep it in your pocket and don't switch it off. But I walk around my apartment, so it's safe. But if you're going to a park to walk around, have your phone, but just keep it in your pocket and just focus. Really be in nature. Be present. Have the sense of awe. Like literally, I've gone on walks. I went on walks around my neighborhood last year plenty of times. But when I started being conscious last week about like actually noticing the things in my environment, I started noticing a lot of things, like the tree by the pool, the bark of the tree is red and pinks. And there are 2 dogs that are always outside at the exact same time every single day, or most days. And I started giving the dogs names in my head. Just, you know, it's just having that sense of wonder, having that sense of imagination, cultivating it through the little things makes so much of a difference. And I'm starting to feel different. I'm starting to feel different. And I'm starting to realize that, oh my gosh, if I didn't actually do something about this, I'd have woken up at like 30 or 35, and the magic that I relied on to go through a lot of challenges in this world, or even to go through a lot of positives and to appreciate it, is dead. So I'm just very happy that I started doing that. That's something I recommend if you're trying to just get that sense of magic back into your life through the little things. And also, if you're a reader, also rereading the books that you read as a child really, really, really helps. Or if you're a writer, rereading the things you wrote when you were younger, that's also really helped me. Reading work that I pushed aside because I thought it wasn't good. But crazy enough, I was reading something that I'd started writing at 14, and I kind of abandoned at 19. And I was like, this is really good. Why did I abandon this? This is really great. So it's like rereading old work, or if you're a painter, looking back at the art you did when you were younger and just being present and actually fully engaged in that work that you put out there in the world, or even just still in your house, just embracing it. And that's something that I've seen invoke my sense of wonder and childlike curiosity, and just nurturing that youthful spirit that should just not die. You know, that youthful spirit has to last, you know, till the end of your days on this planet. You want to die with fully being yourself. And fully being yourself is you as an adult and also you as a child, carrying along all those personas that you've had as a person every single year of your life, and literally locking it into who you are and not ignoring any aspect of it. And I was thinking to myself, you know, when I'm old and gray, I want to be on my deathbed, obviously being happy with what I've accomplished and hopefully accomplishing all that I want on this planet. But also not feeling like I had to, not feeling like, you know, you're on your deathbed and you were never who you truly wanted to be, or you never truly embraced who you were. That's something I don't wish on anyone. I don't want to happen to myself. So I think that starts from not forgetting who you were as a child, and keeping that youthful spirit, nurturing it, loving on it, loving that inner child, as people like to say, and nurturing that inner child so that inner child doesn't die, but it comes with you through all phases of your life. So that's just something that I'm starting to learn and realize, that don't forget who you were as a child, you know, because that person is still in there. No matter how far gone you think you are from who you were as a child, that person is still in there. That child is still in there. And that child needs love and attention.